I'll be performing the role of guy who's just finding out about the Queen's death.
Guy, local town idiot. Local idiot boy.
I'm sorry, what? Our Queen? Welcome to Sad Boys, a podcast about feelings and other things also. I'm Jarvis.
I'm Jordan, and that genuinely took me by surprise.
Yeah, I just figured I would get into it. That's kind of my style
you made it weird.
My style of guerrilla documentary podcasting.
Yeah, you can do one of those NPR openings. Like, it always opens with like native sound from the environment they're in, like walking in an airport or something. Like,
yeah.
I'm here in Nashville, and I'm here to talk to a very special man. Like knock, 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 knock.
Boarding
Hi,
for
Jordan.
flight 352. You just hear it in the background.
And like knocking on a door, and it's always like I'll just open the door and be like, hey there, yeah, I'd love to talk about my interest in yachts. And then it's 40 minutes of talking about
Jordan
yachts.
is just interested in yachts, but over the past 2 weeks, he's become the focus of national attention. Hi, I'm NPR consultant, NPR guy. And
it's my real name, I don't know. Weird, right?
Yeah.
As surprised as you.
What's the guy who said, my name is Orkadork Smorkelson.
Nope, real, right?
That's my real name.
My friends are my parents were big into Tolkien.
Yeah,
it's in the Silmarillion. He's a very specific character.
Welcome to Talkin' Tolkien, a podcast about Tolkien and other things also.
What's that? I'm canceled. I'm one of those guys.
Oh no, they're black.
If you host one of these shows,
get them out. Who let those black people into our fantasy show?
Get the hell out of here! Don't tell me they're a mermaid next.
I'm an orc, and I'll take no black people in my fantasy universe.
I could be, as long as they're in heavy makeup and playing a tree.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah, I am a wizard, and I've got magical powers.
But don't worry.
I'm white. White is the clouds in the sky.
I'm the normal one.
I'm default. I'm default white man with beard.
It's so funny to like try and play the game and I'm not trying to like take anything away from Tolkien as an artist, as a writer, as a fandom, any of that. It is just unavoidable when you I can already see the comment, I can already see the feedback. Like, well, actually, in the deep lore, I think you'll find that he did this really based thing. No, I don't disagree at all. But there is no escaping the fact that the man made the only human adversary that is not green and well, black. The orcs are also black. A vaguely Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, elephant riding Saracen type. And he's just like, well, the only ones that are evil but also a guy are the brown ones, obviously. Because like an elf can be annoying and smug, but they can't be evil because they're normal looking.
Right. You can identify with them. I don't know enough about Lord of the Rings to have this conversation.
No, I will acquiesce. The deep lore I'm not aware of, but I'll actually skip the Tolkien critique and I'll move on to the franchise critique. I'll say like, this is an issue that should have been addressed by Peter Jackson. This is not like a thing.
Right.
We should not be having the argument about the race of the characters now. Right. that should have been a controversy 20 years ago.
So Jordan, before the pod, we always do a little pre-pod show that is just it's a secret exclusive podcast episode between you and I called A Conversation.
It's way better.
Yeah, it's called A Private Conversation Amongst Friends.
Patreon only.
And it's Patreon only, but we're the only ones to get the Patreon, and it's a live stream that only we are allowed to be a part of.
Sorry, pal. Sorry, Buster.
It's essentially lost media. That's like, it's like, fellas, is it lost media to have a conversation that isn't recorded?
Lost Media A, hanging out with your boys. Lost Media B, the episode of Jimmy Neutron where he goes to he fights a child soldier or whatever.
But we were talking about how we've recorded more of the podcast remotely now than we have in person.
Yeah, ever. I get not even just since the pandemic or something, but
Yeah,
going all the way
true.
back to 2017.
Yeah, ever. Yeah, and speaking of 2017 podcasting, I was recently looking for an old screenshot on my phone, and I didn't find what I was looking for, but I did find this ancient 2017 Twitter screenshot of my Twitter. And Jordan, I want you to describe this.
Wait, which part am I looking at? My comprehension is poor also.
Oh no, I was just it's just like,
oh wow,
I have a cringy little bio. I have like 800 followers.
I like this. This is cute. It's interesting that your profile picture is the same because and you've also got at Jarvis now. Like that you are making the conscious effort at branding, and like it's interesting seeing.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's easy to take creators and their careers as like an absolute, right? Especially you that are an industry plant.
Right. That's true, yeah.
It's like at San Francisco as well. Oh, this is so funny. Okay, I'll Slack this to Austin as well. He can put it on screen. Just for the real, all the real ones. And I'm not going to describe it for the audio listeners, actually. Yeah, who feel foolish now, do you, on your podcatcher? We have Jarvis Johnson. Yeah, dude. This is like, this is, you might as well have like a dad of 3 Christian. Yeah. Positive influence. There's periods between these, obviously. Positive influence, rookie YouTuber, engineer at Patreon, sad boy at Sad Boys Pod. I really wish you'd included like maybe you've just scrubbed it out, you've erased it, but afterwards just like one of those the silly one, you know, dad of 3, devoted to Christ, a little wacky, Game of Thrones enthusiast.
Yeah, don't ask me about the Silmarillion.
Yeah, don't even talk to me until I've had my Tolkien.
Yeah, don't even talk to me until I've had my Tolkien.
What do you think's changed personally about you in like what is this 2017 you said?
Yeah, 2017.
Your like emotional development, or at least how you present yourself, because I was talking to a friend of mine recently, or like very brief DM message that I don't think we'd had any communication since like 2018.
Yeah,
and I was already aware of how much of myself gladly that I'd like shedded so much of what I'd performed as Jordan. Yeah, especially I think like performative cynicism a little bit, you know, especially even younger than that, like college and stuff, just like disliking stuff as a substitute for personality, right? Being like, oh, that movie, they're actually all bad. Every film, it's actually not that good.
Yeah, it's true.
You're
also
like
the biggest. You're also the biggest film buff. Like, there's never been a good film. I love all of them secretly, privately.
And you can write like you can play bingo on what the film student's quote obscure movie is, despite being seen by millions. The reason you know about it being that it was taught in a class. Like, have you ever heard of Kurosawa?
Oh,
the most famous Japanese director.
According to Bare Naked Ladies, Kurosawa makes mad films.
He makes mad films. Can you believe it? That is maybe one of the most common like alt rap scene bars now.
Well, I was gonna say that movie critic Bob or whatever that you
Bob
who you turned me on to. That's
I literally know what you're gonna fucking say.
Well, that's
like
his
Kurosawa. I make mad. That's in his Twitter bio. That's funny.
But it's funny because we were talking about the Bare Naked Ladies song one week, and I'm pretty sure that it's from that song. Wait, is it?
It's been from that song.
Let me just double check. Yeah. It's from Bare Naked Ladies one week, which we talked about.
Is that the one referencing Chinese chicken?
Yeah, exactly. In the same breath as saying Chickadee China the Chinese chicken and Sailor Moon has got the boom anime babes that make me think the wrong thing. They also say, like Kurosawa, I make mad films.
The only good thing Andrew Tate has ever put into the world is that series of tweets where he's like, if you're into anime girls, then that is cringy. Bugatti. And then he follows it up with just like, okay, apparently because his bass is, probably freaking out or whatever. And he's like, I'm kidding. I was fucking around. Show me them triple G's.
Yeah. Actually, anime titties are based.
They're actually very based.
What color are your anime boobies?
Send it through. Tan or normal?
I've got boobies in my Bugatti.
I've just realized why I've
got a body pillow in my Bugatti.
Body pillow is very
a body.
I think the reason I struggle so much with getting an Andrew Tate voice out, I realized recently, is like everything, all of his little affectations are exactly the parts of my voice that I've tried very consciously to not change. Because he's the reverse of me, right? He's 75% American, 25% British. I'm 25% American.
Yeah,
I catch myself, especially with terminology. But I'm so conscious of like he skips his T's sometimes, and that is like that region.
Yeah, he'll go. Give me a bottle of water.
A bottle of water.
A bottle of water. That's not even consistent.
Which is like that is what happened where I'm from is what people do, but I've always just been kind of fuzzy with it because of like the accents are so like iterative from
right.
When I was younger I'd say iterative or something like that.
Iterative, yeah.
But it just switches. As soon as I went to high school, it changed again. As soon as I went to college, it changed again. It's just how it goes. Just tiny little changes. And then when I went to the US, it became all about just like comprehension. I just don't want people to always ask what I say. So I became clearer with my T's. Yeah. And seeing him do the exact opposite is equally as valid. There's like nothing wrong with what he's doing. But my child
wait,
brain,
you hear that, everybody?
There's nothing wrong with what he's doing.
Andrew Tate's doing.
Yeah, with his accent as well.
And on a completely separate note, his accent's cool.
That'd be such a funny thing for us to invest in, like the Andrew Tate Manosphere stuff, to be everything we've been for 10 years and then just turn around.
At this point, to completely turn around. To pull a Sneeko.
To Sneeko. Go Sneeko mode?
Go Sneeko mode.
Oh, dude. Sneeko, the newest in the this is your guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is your choose a character. This like Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, Matt Walsh especially. Matt Walsh is so like, are you serious? Like this is your protagonist. If you made a movie about the Manosphere, you'd make it about like the iceberg lettuce of people.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I mean, at the very least, like Sneeko's charismatic and like Andrew Tate's charismatic, but like I was watching a Matt Walsh clip where he was just like, I don't know, saying horrible transphobic things. And I was like, man, this guy is so boring.
He's really boring.
He's not even compelling as with his hate speech.
Yeah, exactly. And he's one of those like theory guys, right? He's like the right-wing equivalent of a dude that on Twitter for the first 7 years of their time posting would always just like post like a veiled sexual assault joke. Could be like epic bad boy, and then in 2019 started typing in all lowercase and talking about like Marxism. Just makes like the brand switch.
Right.
And then like he's the equivalent of that on the other side, which is just like generally missing and not being popular until you really emphasize what your base wants to hear, which is just like, well, actually, girls, chicks, booby, and boy Peebus, be mean.
Chickadee China, the Chinese chicken.
Chicken. Yeah, boys Kurosawa McMahon.
Yeah, and everybody's like, oh, okay.
Also, shout outs to the bad boys talking about Marxism in lowercase. That's me, but also at least talking about I've been a little bit more consistent over the years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With genuine interest.
Right. How did we get here?
Oh, you were saying you liked Andrew Tate and that stuff he was saying.
Oh, right. Yeah, his accent, his bottle of water.
Water.
But how did we get to that? Oh, because we were doing Andrew Tate accent about
oh yeah
something.
Really. Oh, we should get. I know several listeners dedicated enough to do this. So to point out, I'm saying this is a joke. Don't waste your time. We should create like you ever seen those graphs that are like an infographic of Inception, and it's like this dream starts here and is going at this speed,
right?
And this is what events affect what, or like 10.
Yeah, someone tries to diagram an episode of Sideways and the like ADHD ass conversation.
The multiverse of like, what if we never started the Andrew Tate bit? What would we be talking about now?
Yeah,
like,
in an alternate universe, we stayed on topic. Not
every single one of them, we're talking about Andrew Tate. We just never don't do it. We were talking about traits that like social performances that you kind of like.
Oh, Andrew traits. Yeah. So you asked me. I know you British people like rhyming. You asked me a question. So there's two things, whenever we talk about Andrew Tate, I feel like I start speaking in his cadence because I said, "You asked me a question."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's how it works, man.
So before I answer that original question, after we've already gone on this complete tangent, that photo that I sent you, that screenshot, I have to tell the people that, and I don't know how I'm planning to announce this like in a tweet, but I do eventually want to point it out. So if you'll zoom in to my face, you'll notice that there's a gap in my teeth as it is 2017. Oh. And also in my current photo, there's not a gap in my teeth.
Wait, what the fuck?
Yeah. So
wait
at some point.
Oh my god, wait, what was it? Zelda is real?
Yeah, L is real, yeah.
L is real.
So at some point, someone in my subreddit...
This is fucked. This is crazy.
Yeah.
What the...
So at some point...
How did you do this?
So at like some point years and years ago, so like around the time I got braces, someone photoshopped the gap closed on my subreddit.
Oh my god.
And I just changed my profile photo to it and didn't address it for 4 years.
That's actually nuts.
And so at some point I want to like point this out, and I just think it's so funny.
Wow.
But
okay.
Yeah. So that's something.
Listeners, he's lied to me for years. He has implicitly deceived me, his good friend, Jordan Nadika, famous, beloved YouTuber, Nobel Prize winner for being funny. Big award winner for best funniness. This is crazy.
So as far as how my persona has changed when I look back at this time, what is different to me, the main thing is how cringy I was. But like also just like I was just like overly earnest, and I don't know why. But I don't like it. And there's nothing like, I think I am a genuine and earnest person, but there's something about that sort of persona, and it's also present in my early videos, I just do not like. That's what makes it really hard for me to watch those videos.
When do you think that kicked in? Not creator wise, I mean like personally. Like, was that present in high school?
I think it is like a creator thing. It's an external thing, because I think I've always kind of been the way I am interpersonally. I mean, you could let me know, but like, do you see, like, what do you see as differences between me in 2017, you know, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed content creator, and now?
Well, I think that, you know, we know, I genuinely consider you a brother, and I know you. I like to think I know you well, which means I can say I don't think you will ever be satisfied with yourself as
absolutely.
Like a creator.
I think that's true. Yeah,
but there is a
they said that about Hamilton as well.
That's true. Yeah, I was in the room at the time where it happened.
And look how he turned out.
Yeah, what's he up to now?
Yeah, alive and well, I presume.
I do think there's like some of that disquiet in you is gone now, a lot of it, which is largely just because you did go full-time creator and you are doing, you know, like there's no question mark there. I don't think either of us will ever be satisfied with our output, because that's just not really in our bones. It's the reason we worked at it in the first place.
Yeah.
But there is I'd say your comfort as a performer is like very, I would say that you have, and you're saying this was not fully the case at the time, a brand and a like persona that you are more comfortable and proud of now.
Yeah, I think
I agree on the
I agree.
earnestness thing. That
Yeah,
oddly enough, I don't know if this is your thing as well. I feel like I overcorrected for that, where I was again. I'm the cynic. I don't
right,
like stuff in college, and
right.
then moved to San Francisco, and more chiefly, like immediately into Patreon, where that kind of tone and kindness was emphasized in like the culture in person and online. And I think
Yeah,
I almost overcorrected where I went like, oh, that's the kind of behavior that's now approved and rewarded. Man, it makes me feel a lot better. I feel a lot less shitty. But I'm
right.
really leaning into it, and it's really
Yeah,
my yeah, and you kind of just have to level out.
yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, leveling out, I think, is how I feel. How I feel
What's
now.
the biggest difference you see in yourself? Less as a creator, just more personally since then. Are we
I
talking
just think I'm
2017?
more jaded.
Yeah.
But I think that comes with like being older. But like I'm also still optimistic. Like I've always been an optimist. Like I'm like a pessimist microscopically and an optimist macroscopically, you know?
Yeah.
But I think just more in some ways more confident and in other ways more reserved or like taking fewer risks, because even though, and this is something that I do admire about who I was, 5 years ago, is that I at the very least was like putting myself out there. And I think that now that I do have a bit of a brand, there's some fear in trying new things or trying to find, like, I've been thinking about, like, I've wanted to do stuff on TikTok for a while, and I've wanted to like get back to sketch stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't figured out a way to do it that doesn't make me like cringe. And and the part of the reason is because all of my experience in doing that stuff was kind of in a character version of myself that makes me cringe now. So I feel like I'm channeling that older version because it's like that's what's in the tool belt. And so I what I really need to do is just experiment with stuff. But I also,
which is harder with a platform that
yeah,
exists.
which is hard with the platform, and also I just don't know if I can, like, that experimenting with stuff is also extends to things like maybe I do a video more deadpan, you know what I mean? Or
Mhm.
more like where I don't laugh at everything I say. And I genuinely do laugh as like a reflex. And that is something that I don't dislike about myself, but I also want to feel in control, where I'm like, I want to choose to be one way or the other way. And so I think if there's any lesson to take from the past, it's to continue looking at things through the eyes of a beginner, sort of with an open, seeing things as just full of opportunity and with a completely open mind, because the last thing I want to do is kind of pigeonhole myself by virtue of just like leaning into my comfort areas.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, it's a funny thought to think about. I think it's really, really appealing when you're a kid. And I think this is like the source of Fedora guys, where there's something, because, like comfort, at least what you assume comfort comes from is experience, right? Like, I'm happy driving on the road because I had all my lessons.
Right.
I like what I eat because I've cooked lots, and I've eaten. The comfort comes from experience and comes from, I guess, that's the distinction between intellect and wisdom.
Right.
I think the Fedora guy, or the presenting as like a gentleman a lot of the times, and I guess other ways of expressing
Michaela.
Michaela. I think largely comes from wanting to present experience. And I think there's a lot of ways to do that. I just think that's like specifically where, because for a long time I'm like, why? Like independent of culture, independent of like even before online was like super duper ubiquitous. Why did every guy I know, including myself, get tempted to start being the Fedora guy? Like, I'm gonna wear a tie to school. Like what? Where? How is it happening? What is going on?
Yeah.
And it's because it's like it's a performance of experience, and it lets you skip the painful part of experience and the boring part of experience, which is just waiting for years and years and years to like actually have it. Which it's literally dressing for the job you want. I want to or same goes for being a cynic. As like, I'm dressing for the job I want of a jaded, experienced guy in his 30s, right?
Yeah.
I want to be that, or I want to be, I'm going to try smoking because I want to be a guy that smokes, not because I like it now.
Right.
And that is always cringy to look back on, because if I see somebody doing that now, it's also cringy because it's insincere, or it's at least like,
yeah.
You can see the strings, and once you're able to see the strings, it's like, hey, brother, it's not helping you. It's not helping me. It's why it's hard to look at inceldom and stuff like that, where I might not have presented it the same way, but I understand the instinct that behavior is coming from. And so it makes me cringe, because it makes me look back on myself and think, wow, brain really just doesn't work at all till like 27.
Yeah, you saw the fork in the road. And you took the left, but you could see the alt-right path or whatever. I was going to say, I do also want to give space for experimentation, because it is hard to know what you like without trying things out. Like, for example, I started, accessorizing more the past couple of months, and I kind of felt like a goofy cosplayer, for like a while. And I think part of that is just experimenting with things that you like, experimenting with things. There's an awkward middle stage, I think, where it's like, am I just doing this performatively, or am I doing this because I genuinely like it? Sometimes you have to try to know. And so I do want to like give space for that, especially as I'm thinking about, you got tattoos. I've started accessorizing. I'm thinking about tattoos and things like that, where I'm like, do I just want to be the guy with tattoos, or do I want to like, am I going to genuinely like feel like I'm expressing myself, enjoying myself, or is it just an aesthetic? And also I think it's okay and valid for it just to be an aesthetic and just to like it. It's like Adam Levine has like California written on his chest, and it's like, I don't know if he gave that much thought.
I'd say he remembers how to spell it. He should have it backwards so he can see it in the mirror.
Yeah. Well, he uses
and
the
so he can remember
camera.
how to. He needs to know how to spell it so he can send it in a text. Like, man, you're hotter than California.
You're out of the fuck. I need to see the booty of California.
Freaking hell.
Yeah.
Goodness.
I will say though. He obviously was in the wrong because he has a wife and kids.
Protects themselves.
But I will say that I've sent a cringy. I have sent and will probably continue to send cringy sext type things.
It's a very hard thing to phrase, because it's also like if say you're in person, you're making out with someone, and then you just stop for a second and go, yep, that's what I like to see,
yeah.
It's just like,
or
there's
even,
no good way to do it. Even if
like,
you're commenting on a friend's photo or something, you can be like, fucking go off, king, hell yes.
Yeah.
Whereas if somebody sent you like a sexy pic and you go like, that's great.
You're
doing a really good job with the lighting.
Dude, I've done that before, where I didn't know somebody was flirting with me, and they sent me like a nice picture of them, but it wasn't like explicitly, like, I learned later that it was an intent to flirt. It was with intent to flirt. Right. But I didn't know what the boundaries were, so I didn't want to comment on I didn't want to action. I didn't want to make a move, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was just like, that's a great photo. Which
5 stars.
Which I stand by, because it's like
sending back a photo of you like this.
Yeah, I could have very easily misread the situation and then made that person uncomfortable, right? So I usually err on the side
better
of
to go too light than too heavy.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to do something that I could like not like. I'm happy to cringe because it's like in that way than to cringe going the like other way. You know what I mean? Yeah, but exactly. when like two consenting parties are like, it's sexting time, or like. Which is what you do. It's like there's a whole.
Well, yeah, I turn my cat backwards
Yeah.
It's time to sext.
There's a magical girl like transformation sequence.
Yeah, me spinning around, but it
Yeah.
just takes off my shirt.
Yeah, you have a. It's like you get a bottle of lotion.
Yeah, closing the curtains in a montage.
Yeah.
Welcome to Sad
Yeah,
Boys
it's a
Nights.
montage. You're like, this isn't actually from my own personal experience, but I don't want to give details of my own personal experience because that's more vulnerable than I want to be. But
Yeah.
I'm imagining because like people make so for example, I'll be completely honest. I do not have a cum sock, but that is a thing that people have. So I was imagining like a montage of somebody going under their bed and like looking for their
like digging,
yeah, where
moving
is
a
it?
like shoebox out the way.
Yeah. But yeah, so when two consenting parties are like, it's sexting time, you definitely send cringy stuff, right?
Sure,
like,
yeah.
because there's no, even if you were to take what people say in bed, like during, the act, that shit out of context is cringy. It's a whole like energy matching exercise where you're just like very, vulnerable with each other, but it's like cool because you're sharing that experience. And so you can kind of you can really just like say not weird stuff, but there is that thing of like, ooh, baby is not a thing that in most contexts is going to be considered hot, but given the right.
I mean, talk about having to experiment with something, like throw it out and then just like let it sit for a second and be like,
that's a thing
just
too.
Fucking don't even worry about it.
That's a thing too. Like, it's the trial and error. So, if there, I guess there are younger people listening to this. Sometimes you try stuff out and it doesn't go and you have to keep it moving. It's okay. Like,
and you can acknowledge it. That's, I mean, the best like groupings, partnerships or whatever. And I'm using that phrase because I'm even applying to like people that are ace, for example, where it is, because sex is the funniest thing in the world. Like it just truly
exactly.
is like, and I've had it and I know where it goes and I know how to do it and I'm not confused.
Yeah.
But don't even worry about it. And
So
I know
wasn't
how to
concerned,
like,
but you seem to be overcompensating. You're
There's
kind of
no- well,
dressing
no,
for
I'm-
the job you want, so to speak.
well, no, I'm saying that there's no reason to be
Uh-huh.
concerned because I'm not that, is what I'm saying. And it's weird that you keep bringing it up, actually.
Oh, right, yeah.
But there's like, for people maybe that are, because there's two versions of what you said about going too far or saying too far back, right? Which is always err on the side of caution and don't, as you say, don't assume that the barista's flirting with you because they said your name in a nice way.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they didn't say your name wrong at the Starbucks, so they must be interested. Writing your number on your coffee and giving it back. Full. But yeah, there's like, that's one side of it. And then on the side of, I'm sure for a lot of people, the question is, well, then how do I move it forward? Which just saying it out loud is just saying it's completely okay to say like, hey, is this okay? Am I misreading this thing? Am I doing so-and-so? And good partnerships, good sex, if that's a component of that, always come from communication and understanding and clarity, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that can be really funny about that is when you have a good communicative relationship, you get to call yourself and the other person out on silly stuff. Like not to make them insecure, but your sense of humor. And it is funny. It like somebody sends you a text and you copy paste an Adam Levine response. You both know what that is, and you just think that's funny.
Right.
You send back like homina, awooga.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
exactly.
That can be fun and silly, but if you don't communicate and understand the tenor of what is fun and silly for you, somebody sends you a picture and you just say something like sarcastic, then you might just make that person feel bad.
Right.
And throwing out experimenting is hard, right? Like
experimenting is hard and it's vulnerable. I've been
what's up, babe?
Oh no, literally.
And like waiting and like
no, but like I've been experiencing what is clinically known as sexy times, I think.
Sure.
And so
I've
like
done it
which I've done before so many times actually. Can't even keep track of how many sexy times I've had.
Sure, you keep saying that.
And like during the sexy times, I think I threw out a babe.
Yeah.
And then just in the heat of the moment. And then they're like, "Oh, don't like that." And I was like, "Okay."
Me neither, actually.
Did I
It's
say
crazy. I thought
did I say
it was
babe? I
bad.
meant madam.
Dude, can I tell you something really fucking? This is like I'm gonna switch to the least sexy anecdote of all time. But I was
Because what I said was the sexiest anecdote
it
of
was
all
cool.
time.
Is what I was
Yeah.
thinking. I was playing COD 4.
Wait, you said this
with
wasn't sexy?
Yeah,
Sorry.
well, slow down
Hold
now.
on, I need to turn on the AC. Yeah.
Can we, Austin, cut this part out? Because
Yeah.
we both come back in just tank tops.
Yeah.
Gee whiz. I don't. I was playing with my friend, who I won't name because at one point he did steal money from my family. But we were playing Modern Warfare 2, the original Modern Warfare 2, which, as many people know, has an especially sexy mode, sexy in a fun, cool gamer way.
Mm-hmm.
I can say that. I'm a gamer. I'm allowed to use the word.
Right.
Uh,
the word
Spec
gamer or the
Ops.
word sexy? Both, actually.
The
They're synonymous.
only gamer.
Yeah.
In that case.
I'm allowed. Yeah, sexy. I'm allowed to use that word because I am sexy.
Because yeah, I'm cool actually, and I have done it. And don't worry, yeah, it's cool, good, and I know what kissing is. There is me and my friend, whose name I won't say. It was Steve. We were playing Spec Ops, which is like a series of scored mission types, PvE, so co-op against bots.
Yeah.
And we were stealthing. Sucks. We were we were stealthing through a mission, and this before I guess before any like major sexual experience on my part. So it is now only that I'm realizing how in a way tight this is. It said, "This is so much more embarrassing than anything sexual." I was in front of. I was like moving forward and being stealthy, and I went. I'm on my 6. He tried to use like cool military slang and like at 11 o'clock and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And
That's
he
funny.
just roasted. Like I didn't get away with it for a millisecond.
That's funny.
And it was right. It was the the appropriate kind of bullying. And I remember my response to that, to try and get out of it, and I don't even know what the plan was. I said, "Oh no!" I said, "On my sex." Like, oh, okay. It was like a weird pun, so it's not embarrassing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was rough. That stayed with me. I don't remember
It's
a
not
single
even that
teacher's
bad,
name.
but that's one of those things where, like, you know, if somebody roasts you for it, then you're like, oh, guess I can't get close to that.
It's because I so vividly remember knowing it was a gamble.
Oh yeah.
I remember going like, I need snake eyes.
Isn't that
Daddy
the
needs a new
worst?
pair of
Isn't that the
shoes.
worst when you just like throw something out there? Like I will sometimes, like I feel that way about the N-word sometimes because I, you know, am comfortable using the N-word, but sometimes when I'm with black people,
What's my rank? Yeah.
I get imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And then
Pulling up one of those paint palettes and like counting along, being like, "Am I number 5, number 6? When am I allowed to?"
yeah, like I've definitely like given. I think I've like abandoned ship halfway. Of like somebody told me a situation and I was like, nigga, what? Or something like where
Negro de...
I was like, that's
Okay,
okay,
paso.
right? That's all right to say. I like check the, you know, or even like I'll be like I've been with black friends who have like used like light skin in a derogatory but like playful way.
Sure.
Where you're like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about that.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a negotiation. I remember vaguely that there's an episode we did with Erica, like
Mhm.
in the late 80s or whatever.
Yeah,
How long
yeah,
this show's
that's
been
true.
going.
Yeah.
The Reagan administration, I believe.
I feel like that would make more sense to be the era where I had an afro, but that wasn't.
Yeah.
We're kind of aging backwards like Benjamin Button.
Man, people think they are just crushing it when they DM me. You've got like a 70s porn mustache. It's like, I
Dude, that's
chose
fucking
to do
crazy.
this.
That's no, dude.
I will overwhelmingly positive feedback, but every now and then, if I get into it with Iggy Azalea Stan accounts or whatever,
Right.
or they just get into it with me, and I'm like the
More like Jordan a dick.
yeah, I'm like that cat sat at the table meme. Like,
Yeah,
I just don't
yeah.
like.
I feel like
pointing
a
at
lot of
me.
those are like, sorry, it's my first time making a joke online, or like, sorry,
For
it's my
sure,
first
yeah.
time making a pun.
It's making that pun and then replying to it underneath, saying like, "I'll just leave this here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll be here all night." You know, the kind of just like any insurance against somebody making fun of you.
Like it's like those Twitter replies where they'll say, well, in that case, and then it'll be spoilers, and then you click to reveal the spoiler, and it's like a well inside of a briefcase or something, you know, and it's like, dude, you
It's
fucking
every
nailed
time.
it. Those
It's
are
such a
funny to me,
specific. It's such a specific like. I see so many of them on like a KSI or a Mr. Beast post.
though. Yeah.
Like it's always just like, well, there are enough tractions here that I'm hitting them with this image, and then it's 40 of them in a row. And
Mhm.
hey, man, it's like big if true, and it's a giant if true, and like a Hollywood sign or something. It's sick,
Yeah.
man. It's really cool.
I
And
mean,
then
yeah.
obviously you've got to be the cool bad boy counterculture kind of guy to reply like, spoilers, and then it opens. It's like, this isn't funny. You're stupid for posting this.
Oh, yeah, you
you're
you post spoilers, but it's actually just an image of the spoilers thing.
Yeah, you try
and then it's like
hitting
you
show.
baited them. Yeah,
God, you just got scammer got scammed.
that's something I would tweet.
What is like? Actually, this is a good question. Since we're basking in some cringe, a twinge of cringe, if you will. See, I can do it too.
Nice.
What is your cringy sense of humor? Like a portion of your sense of humor, a type of joke you would make that, looking back on it now, was just like pretty shameful. Not even 2017, 2010, whatever.
I mean, I wouldn't even call it shameful, but just the amount that I used to quote Family Guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Or like, I mean, back when I was, what is this, like middle school? I don't even know. I actually think that when I listen back to the Random podcast, the podcast that Russell and I had when I was 14,
Were you slamming
like-
Heelys, I remember.
I'm like, these jokes are, I mean, like, there's a lot of swings and misses. But like the shape of the sense of humor is not bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like,
it's not miles away.
yeah, there's like a part where I like do a Snoop Dogg impersonation about him like getting high and not performing at a concert, and I'm like, honestly, this still hits. This is like
This bangs.
this would play in 2022.
Yeah, there's like it's also not the nuances of things we don't like about it are never at the time or in the future when we look back on it and wince a little bit. Because I'm just, I'm sure there's episodes of Sad Boys where I'd even spot pieces that from early episodes where I don't identify with it anymore, and it's something that I've like shared.
Yeah.
Oh
wait, but
I'm sure I could look back on that and still.
Yeah, to
like,
answer your
nobody ever
question though,
notices.
it's like to be honest, the stuff that was like casual transphobia and stuff that
Mhm, yeah.
you know, as a young person, you just aren't like, I just wasn't aware of the context or the history behind the like Lady Gaga has a penis type jokes. And the attack helicopter stuff was like, when that started, I was so young that I didn't understand what the joke was. You know, I thought that the phrase attack helicopter was funny. That's all I got out of that. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's a funny vehicle. What can I say?
Yeah. But that kind of stuff, I can't
Yeah, no, you're banging.
blame myself too much for being a product of the culture, but it doesn't make it right. You know what I mean?
Well, all I know
doesn't
is
make it
that
okay.
neither of us at any point have like as a general rule, enjoy hurting people, right? That's
Yeah.
not the default.
And so-
all I know
and-
is it's usually well intentioned.
And so, yeah, as you learn more about, or just like taking risks with jokes that, you know, like when I was in middle school, I'm not going to name any names, but like,
Put that name with Steve.
but, but like Jewish friends would make jokes about Hitler or something like that. Or there would be like, or Holocaust jokes were a thing that like middle schoolers would make. I remember vividly. And I had to like learn when I was like 12 or 13 or whatever that I'm not allowed to make those jokes. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And or the other types of things would be the types of jokes that were sort of for a white audience, like making sort of racial jokes at my own expense for a white audience. So like playing that up. Yeah.
Oh, But wait, no, we found it. That is the comedy component of my teen years that I regret the most. Upwards to like, I don't know, like 20, maybe not much after that. It was definitely never my part of my personality after I moved.
I thought you said 2020. I was like, Jordan, that was yesterday.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah.
It was very, I mean, it cracked me up.
Yeah. And you were like, fried chicken and grape soda. That's
Ding. Which is even like less, it was even more insincere and artificial because I didn't grow up in America. So even the parody at play just didn't apply at all. But I would do an African American accent. Quote, like as a joke. And the joke, of course, was just that I only knew white people.
Yeah.
That I couldn't find anyone else where I'm from. And the joke was, hey, I'm pointing out the exclusion, A, before you can, and B, it's easy. It's like an easy dub. It's like an easy win. It would be my default amongst people I wasn't familiar with.
Yeah, you're like one of the good ones, right? Or whatever.
You don't even know me, but you're saying like, like the joke would be they say, they just say hi, and I'm like, what? Because I'm black? You had to say hi to me. It's just like it's a shortcut to being different, being challenging. Part of it was insecurity. Part of it was like, I'm doing this before anybody else can. But the other part was, I want to be the funny guy, and it works.
Oh,
I want to be the family guy.
Yeah, you're pressing buttons, and you're like, what button makes people laugh? And you're like, okay, I'll keep pressing this one.
Yeah, square peg, square hole, whatever.
Yeah.
As long as I'm winning.
And I think that one thing that's changed over the years is, like, I've matured as a human, is just like, who's laughing and why, you know? And I think that that's like what I've cared about a lot more, right?
And what's the source of people that aren't laughing? Like if I get a negative comment and I'm at one point in my life, I do feel kind of thankful that I've only ever established any kind of platform as somebody in their late 20s.
Yeah.
Because there are types of feedback and areas of my comedy or personality that I've been self-conscious about, that I've either grown out of or realized I shouldn't be self-conscious about. And I have the experiences to tell me that I just absolutely axiomatically shouldn't be, and that there's no point in dwelling on it.
Right.
And so if I'm in a relatively good mood and somebody points something out about the way that I look or the type of joke that I'm enjoying or my performance in general, it's now very, very easy to go, no, I'm sick.
Yeah.
No, I'm the best. Are you crazy? Like what are you going on about? And you know, I've had enough positive, healthy relationships to, if somebody says you're ugly, I just go like, well, I mean, I'm not ugly enough. Like things or I'm being rude or mean or also to understand that anybody that's calling somebody else ugly is doing it from such a sinister place that it's really not somebody you should value the opinion of, or it's just like there's defaults that you can hop to, and not that like if somebody does consider themselves unattractive, that well then the feedback is actually valid. It's just you get to know a certain type of person, and when I hear that kind of rhetoric from somebody online, and I've met people like that in real life, I can see them behind the keyboard, and it just robs them of like any kind of damage.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's I'm also very grateful to kind of mostly have established an online presence after being a person who's like kind of lived in the real world. And that's not a slight against anyone who hasn't had my experience, but just the way my brain works, I would have personally been broken if I had been a, you know, there's a part of me that's like, oh, you know, I could have very easily, a few things could have been different, and I could have started uploading on YouTube at like 14, like consistently, and I had like probably the skill set, you know, to like make something happen. Maybe this is being a little bit too like big headed, but I think since I've made it as a YouTuber now, I think that like there's some, you know,
you're saying I could have uploaded videos.
Yeah, I'm saying I could have uploaded videos. And I think that like as a young kid also, like, you know, it's like I was a funny kid, and I think I probably could have like found some audience, but I think that would have like fundamentally broken me. And
you
wasn't,
being an industry plant helps, obviously.
that's true. That is true. And on that note, let's switch topics. So I don't know, like I literally have done no research into this. I've just seen 2 tweets. Have you heard about this Dream face reveal that's happening?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just saw Carl Jacobs and Anthony Padilla like FaceTiming with Dream. And is that like a thing? Is he about to reveal his face? Is that what's about to happen? Yeah, I thought that's what the point of the mask is.
He's masking off.
Fuck, dude. What?
He's going mask off. No, I mean, I've never been DM'd a single tweet more because the mask song is the most consistent meme on my stream.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, that's what the mask is I think my follow alert. So it's become like a really, if they hit me up. The Wolfpack and Dream are pretty essential parts of my brand. So he's really fucking me up by removing that mask. That mask is pretty essential to my bag. Dream,
everybody just keeps, I almost feel like I'm sure that Dream is handsome, but everybody keeps talking about how handsome he is. And I can't help but think it's because of that one time that there was a fake leak and people body shamed a random person.
Just a kid.
Just like a kid. Yeah. That feels like people need to get ahead of the ugly allegations or whatever. Like,
yeah.
Like, hey, everybody, I wasn't hiding my face because I wasn't hot, all right?
Yeah, it's a bummer. And the same thing that they did to Corpse, actually.
I was going to say, yeah.
Which is an odd... I know face reveal has been a thing for a long time, but it does feel like an especially... If you're in the gaming community, in particular, as opposed to like, there are plenty of movie reviewers, video essayists, people that I guess creators identify with a lot less or bank a lot less on their personality and things.
Right.
Like Eyepatch didn't do anything in person on camera for like 3 years, 4 years.
And he is a beautiful man.
He's handsome and shredded.
Yeah. How and why? This is actually not allowed. What the hell?
That is jacked up. I was pissed. I was mad. I remember it was the dead of the summer in LA. I was hot and sweaty and felt disgusting. And then he comes on my street. It comes on my TV.
I was watching a video of his where I didn't know that he had already done a face reveal, and I think he did a video about fake psychics or something like that. And I was like, "Is that him?" Like, I was like, "What?"
I believe that is maybe his first one, or it's the martial arts one where he's like in a nice dress.
Oh, the martial arts one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
or like a Henry or something.
So this is something I need to talk about. Now that we're talking about video essayists and people who don't show their face. So Summoning Salt, one of my favorite creators on YouTube, he makes speedrunning documentaries telling the story of how small speedrunning communities overcome the challenges of a game, break it down into a million pieces, and then sort of compete for top rung of the speedrunning leaderboards. So Summoning Salt puts out a video about Mega Man 2 speedrunning. It's an hour long. It's the traditional Summoning Salt fare, where it is a great video about something that, if you ask me, do I know anything about Mega Man 2? Do I care anything about Mega Man 2? I say no, but you show me that video thumbnail and I'm like, yeah, please tell me more. I will watch for an hour. Yeah, exactly.
I would love to learn about Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, please. And so he puts this video out. It gets 1 million views because he's, killing it. And then about 4 days in, the video gets age restricted. A speedrunning documentary about Mega Man 2 got age restricted, 18 and up. So it kills the video's performance. This is a creator who we know, video essayists and people who cannot produce content frequently on the platform, and to the point where like AdSense is like some creators have a business model where they can only post a couple of videos a year. And Summoning Salt is one of them. I think when he's full-time now, and he was saying, it's like, I think maybe I'm going to get like 8 videos out this year, something like that, where that would not be a sustainable full-time income.
Yeah,
but
I
it's
patched Wolf with one of them.
yeah, but it's
Just like
important, and then he also supplements with Patreon and stuff. But the point of that is age restricting one of the videos is a big deal, especially because this is something that his content is not explicit. The reason that it was allegedly, so he tweeted about this, then YouTube was like, or he appealed it, but everyone knows that when you appeal on YouTube, they say it's revealed by a real person, but that, you know, that's got to be something. Sure. There's got to be something up there, because he appealed it, and in 45 minutes they had reviewed the like hour-long video. So they were like watching it back at like double speed or something like that, or they weren't watching it back at all, or they were looking Captions at a transcript only. Or or they just were flipping a coin, who knows. They manually reviewed and confirmed that it needed to be age restricted. And then he did what all creators do, which is complain on Twitter, because it's the only way to reasonably get a response out of YouTube. And we all hate that this is a fact, but it is. If you even indirect YouTube, if you say like, hey, YouTube kind of sucks right now, Team YouTube is going to show up in your replies. Hey, thanks for mentioning us. Is there anything we can do to help? Because they've got like a crack team of people on a Salesforce somewhere that's all connected to that goddamn Twitter account.
Yeah.
And they have, you know, super searches to get every single, you know.
They prioritize brand repair in the public sector. Like they because that conversation is happening publicly, you need to perform.
People can see it.
It's like, hey, we should hang out sometime, and then they never turn up to the coffee.
Yeah, exactly. So YouTube shows up and they're like, oh, actually, this is confirmed. This video needs to be age restricted. By the way, it's important to mention the video over an hour has 19 curse words in it, which is not many curse words. I'm sure we've probably already said more curse words than that in this episode of Sad Boys, which probably will be monetized. I even said the N-word. So let's find out, you know?
I'm about ready to say the oh, that was close.
Oh, yeah. Whew. It almost flew right out of your mouth. You can tell you say it in private. So
yeah, when I play PUBG.
Yeah. So he obviously replies, and it's like, this isn't an explicit video. What they think is that there's a clip of somebody's stream when they like break a world record where they say the F word 6 times in like 3 seconds or something like that, or 9 times in 3 seconds. But other than that, there's nothing like explicit about the video. It's just like, it almost seems like they have an algorithm that's like detecting the density. If they're at any point in the video, there's a high density of curse words above a certain threshold, then it needs to be age restricted. That's kind of what it feels like. But anyway, he complained, and then they were like, no, actually, this is for real. And then he continued to complain, and the community's jumping in and going, hey, this is fucked up. And then YouTube is like, hey, our bad, we messed up. We've lifted the age restriction. Then a few days go by. The video doesn't, the issue with the age restriction also is it kills its virality. It kills its growth and suggested. So,
not to mention robs it of the revenue it would have been making.
Exactly. There's no takesies backsies on that kind of thing. So a few days go by. Then he gets another email saying it's been age restricted again. And then they said, no, for real, this time we've reviewed it again. What is this, a third time? And they're like, actually, no, it needs to be age restricted. This Mega Man 2 gameplay is just too dirty. It's too... Meanwhile, you know, this is the platform that let InfoWars thrive for years on it, that continues to let like actually harmful rhetoric and actually high profanity laden content like run rampant on the platform. And I'm not saying that profanity laden content is a problem inherently, but it is so clear to anyone with a brain that this is not offending content. This is not offensive content. There shouldn't be any issue. I haven't been demonetized or age restricted. I think I've been age restricted one time in the 5 years I've been making YouTube videos. And it was I appealed it, and I think it went through. No, I think the only time we've been age restricted was on our Black White episode 1 reaction.
And our Shane video on the Sad Boys channel.
Oh yeah, the Shane
That's
video.
the one
Okay,
at the
so
time. Which
so
fucking
these are
stings because that was a popular video.
well, these are things that at the very least there's an argument for because there's extremely sensitive content being discussed and sensitive details. It is not just someone saying the F word a few times in a video game.
Which also is, so for people who don't know, the workflow, especially on a video this big that is so heavily planned ahead, that video has gone up in multiple like versions of that video have been uploaded to YouTube Studio, unlisted or private, with YouTube having full access to it to review. And I'm not saying that YouTube should be or even could manually review every single upload, even from significant creators, like immediately.
Yeah.
But they have their scraping algorithm, which checks for the generic stuff like swears within the first 30 seconds, copyrighted content, the like.
Like YouTube generates in the most simplest of senses, for every upload, YouTube is doing speech to text on that, getting the text captions of it or what it understands, running processes on that, and seeing like, is there dangerous content in this? And
is the guess that it just got flagged by viewers? What's the
no, it's like it keeps being confirmed by manual review, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And so this is a real problem on YouTube, especially because, like you said, these are the types of videos that creators make a draft of and they upload to see if it gets flagged, and then there's no issue.
Why would you risk this?
Because why would you
everything you can?
Right, and then YouTube also doesn't give us any tools for amending the situation. If it was like, hey, this is age restricted because of these few seconds in this part, 99% of creators would say, oh, trim out the part. Obviously. Mm-hmm. This is not like the point. This is not the point of the content, is to be like salacious or like to be vulgar. It's just something that was so innocuous that they didn't even consider, the creator didn't even consider that it would be a problem.
Or automatically mute like Twitch VODs are.
Or just automatically
mute. Which you can appeal to if it's wrong, but at least temporarily you aren't like getting some kind of revenue.
In what universe would you go, actually no revenue, no views for you, over 6 seconds where you could just mute that by default and then no one hears the bad stuff? It's over video game footage. What, like, literally... I would much rather if YouTube was like muting a couple of seconds than age restricting the video. If you said, hey, we're going to keep your video and recommendations, but like this 30-second clip has been muted, I'd be like, oh, fuck, I got to resolve that stat, but at least people are still seeing the video. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that, I think it's just, it exposes a huge problem with YouTube system. And I understand how difficult the problem is, but that does not mean that we shouldn't hold these corporations accountable. YouTube is the largest website on the planet. It is the, if not the second behind the Google search engine. And it is $1 trillion like operation. It's like one of the most valuable companies to exist. And
with the community support infrastructure of like sadboyspod.com.
Yeah.
Like we are as active about resolving problems, which is not.
And it's like, I understand like firsthand, these problems at scale are very, very difficult to solve. The operational issues of support, fielding, that stuff, all very hard, but because of the profit motive, these companies are going to do everything they can to get away with less. They want to get away with as little as they can. You know what I mean? Because everything costs money. So
which they are.
Yeah.
Their only incentive to change would be losing the thing they care about most. And that is not creator approval because they're a monopoly.
And that's why making a public stink on Twitter gets much more reaction than privately emailing your partner manager or privately emailing YouTube support, because there's now a PR risk.
Sure.
And that's the only leverage that creators have against the platform, because we are so beholden to it. And it is such a monopoly. And as Twitch gets into all of its dramas, it's becoming more and more an existential threat that like YouTube is just going to continue swallowing up markets and be the only game in town. And while I am grateful to YouTube and am grateful for what the platform has done for me, that doesn't mean that I can like stand idly by and kind of okay every decision it makes, because that's not, you know, that's not a good situation.
We also know from career experience that these are like, especially at this kind of scale, very siloed teams. There are people that like have as much influence over the like structural choices of YouTube as we do.
Yeah.
Like there are teams working their asses off that include features that we really like that essentially don't even work at the same YouTube.
Right. I mean, like, it's just,
they might as well be outsourced.
Also large company problems. I mean, I think that the other issue is that it's very hard for a large company en masse to understand the like kind of beating heart of a creator and the actual experiences that your average creator goes through. And so we do have to be vocal. And I think that while companies like YouTube do make an effort to reach out to creators and you know, do research with them and embed themselves with the creators and understand their workflows, I think that there's always more work that can be done there, because until we don't see these issues of very obviously unproblematic content being flagged and very problematic content running off scot-free, you know, like, or even just focusing on unproblematic content getting flagged. Like as long as that continues to happen, we have to be the squeaky wheel, because that's how we will get the grease. So,
sure. And more often than not, it's actually really interesting to me how much YouTube has banked on creators as their brand. The idea that somebody that's logged into the, I don't know, like Jimmy Fallon YouTube account is getting that same little slideshow at the bottom right of YouTube Studio saying like, best ways to optimize your thumbnails. Creators, what's going on? Time for the wrap up from the week. You know, we tweaked how analytics works in a way that like the media manager for Jimmy Fallon could give one shit about. It's so funny that like functions the exact same way when profit motive wise, feature set wise, community support wise, or like internal support wise, that is the priority by far. YouTube would let 50% of the commentary community drown before they would step on a Fallon submission even once. Yeah, because that covers the same amount of viewership and is less complicated. I don't think I do see sometimes. I mean, feel free to share if you think this is wrong. I can't help but laugh when people, sad laugh, single tear laugh, when people are saying like, all right, time to switch to Vimeo, or like time to shift platforms. We are so far beyond that being an option. People
don't understand the stranglehold that YouTube has, and don't understand. People think that YouTube can quote unquote fail in the traditional sense, and I believe that it is too big to fail.
Absolutely.
Like, and it's like Facebook failing. It's like no one uses Facebook that you know, and yet it still is producing billions of dollars in revenue. What is going on?
Most YouTube users don't know about commentary. They don't even know the genre. Like it's, and I'm talking peak. Like most YouTube users have never heard of you, Curtis, Danny, Drew, Cody, Noel, ever, because it just is not important. They're not logged in. They don't have, they've never left a comment or even logged into the website, and they watch 10,000 hours a month. Like it is their number one like entertainment platform. But they're just not watching that. They're getting linked from Facebook, which they also use all the time.
Yeah, and so it's just like I think that the hyper online community is often like, I don't understand how these companies can stay and keep their doors open if everyone hates them. And it's like, because you exist in a bubble of the 0.00001% of people who have this dialogue online. But the average person in the real world hasn't given two thoughts about this ever in their lives. And they're just consume because that's what these platforms, the only reason I care about this stuff is because I worked in the space. I work in the space. I've worked in the space from a professional context. But there's no reason that the average person that you interact with on a day-to-day basis needs to give a shit about like how the YouTube platform is treating creators. Because it's you know, in some ways it could be like workplace drama. You know, it's like, oh, yeah. the union for actors is, you know, has really good COVID safety or something. That's like and no one else does, and we need more unions. And it's like everybody's in their own little like bubble, you know?
Yeah, like how many people that watch movies cared about the SAG-AFTRA drama?
Yeah.
No one at all.
Yeah.
No, they never even heard about it.
Right.
Why the hell would they? But we could like we have friends that I'm sure if we never spoke to anybody outside of those friend groups, we would think it's like Vietnam.
The most important issue. Yeah, and that's just how it goes. And so, you know, so we're doing our part here to whip up awareness of what we see as a YouTube shortcoming in support of Summoning Salt, who I think is an awesome creator and doesn't deserve this treatment from the platform.
And like, yeah, case in point, what's the one thing that Summoning Salt can't afford to do is stop uploading to YouTube.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that's worse than getting demonetized is getting demonetized and not uploading, because then they aren't even generating their Patreon revenue. And not even getting the chance to make ad revenue.
And that's such an unrealistic ask of people where it's like, let's do an Instagram blackout. Like, let's nobody post on Instagram today and let's really show them the power that we have. And it's like, this is just
that really silenced 0.4% of the user base.
Yeah. It's just like, they're like, is it quiet around here? Is it just me?
Is it a national holiday or something?
At all? Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, it's just like
somebody in like Tokyo, like the densest metropolitan place on the entire planet. Yeah. And then it's like everybody with size 7 shoes doesn't go outside for a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's a real ghost town, right?
Yeah, they're like, oh, there's I see 6s, I see 8s. No one's looking. No one noticed you were gone. Yeah.
It's just they just assume it's flu season or something.
Okay. So anyway,
YouTube's been destroyed.
Yeah, dude, epic style.
Epic pwned.
Oh, I forgot there's another thing I need to say. This is Sad Boys. This is just me remembering things I wanted to share. I was gonna go to Taylor Lorenz, who just tweeted who's responsible for the deep state, I think, Taylor Lorenz.
Yeah, I heard about her starting that.
Fellow millennial white women, what are you doing? 413 months old, likes iced coffee. Oh wait, let me do a little OBS real quick so that I can.
I'm recording too if we don't care about quality.
Oh, we don't care about quality. Okay, perfect. This is absurd. Likes iced coffee. Sneak peek Thursdays. Listening to We Don't Talk About Bruno on Repeat. Dislikes Mondays.
I can't, but the dislikes Monday part really pushes this close to parody.
Yeah.
Like that's shocking. Wait.
This looks like she's in a coffin. Yeah, there's multiple of these.
Yeah, I'm confused. Is this a obituary? Hated Mondays.
Yeah, is she dead? Favorite adult beverage, black cherry seltzers. Can be found in the garden in her free time. 6 feet under, actually, in the garden.
What happened to the favorite adult beverage? Why is that in Times New Roman? Oh, wait, no, I just realized. Yeah, wait, that's even wilder that last one didn't even have one of these, like, I don't know what to call them, like a chapel board.
Yeah, this is just photoshopped on. 69 inches, 2,400 ounces. Likes espresso, shopping, sushi, reality TV, Botox.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I'm just praying. Oh,
this one, the perspective.
Kidnapped.
The perspective of this one is truly incredible because it does look like this is a normal sized card and she's a very tiny baby.
That's a huge bed.
Yeah, what the hell? Where are they finding these?
They shouldn't be giving that baby margaritas. This seems inappropriate.
This is unreal. Love sweets and margaritas. Still eating every 2 to 3 hours. Dude, I get it. But yeah, it's
like a baby.
Yeah.
You do have to feed a baby every 2 to 3 hours.
This is unreal. Okay, she's not even, she's just lying down.
Well, yeah, no,
I guess babies
aren't swaddled. Yeah, they got to stretch out.
Yeah. Dairy makes me gassy. Hashtag relatable. Dude, millennials are not okay. Let me just say that.
It's remarkable. I really, really, really like what we've become. What are we? We're on the light end of millennials up through like mid-40s.
Yeah. I'm definitely millennial, but I'm on the earlier end of it.
Wait, appearing on my screen right now. Is that on your screen? What the fuck?
I got into Survivor recently.
Hell yeah.
I'm like 20 fucking years late.
Have you seen the season with Ken?
No, I just saw it. Oh, okay, wait. Let's talk about this a little bit. So I got into Survivor recently, and I'm 20 years late. And I just watched the only season that was on Netflix, which is from 4 years ago, I think. And the thing that threw me is the theme of it, because there's a theme every season, is David versus Goliath. Mm-hmm. So
I've seen this season, yes.
Yeah. So
Nate and Rochelle recently introduced me as well, so I'm pretty.
Okay. Yeah. I gotta tell Rochelle actually, because she doesn't know. And so the Davids are like, it's like these people are like they barely pulled themselves out of the dirt of the worst living possible to make it onto Survivor.
A picture of them and it just says yuck.
Yeah. And then it's like the Goliaths. It's like the creme de la creme of society. They've always had it easy and have never experienced hardship. But when they're like showing the boat, I'm like, is that fucking Mike White?
Yeah.
I was like, yo, what the fuck is Ned Schneebly doing on the Survivor season?
Such a trip.
Dude, that blew my fucking mind. And so as soon as I saw Mike White, I was like, I have to watch the season. So I just binged it. I just finished it. And I don't want to say anything because it's spoilers, but good show. New season just started airing and I'm watching it.
So like there's famously an artificiality to American reality TV, which I don't think takes anything away from it. I just, most people are like, excuse me, that was set up by the producers? That doesn't make any sense. It's like,
right.
Enjoy the kayfabe. I don't think I appreciated how legitimately they are surviving there.
Yes.
I was under the impression that Survivor and the fact that they're on an island and all of that stuff was just like a visual framing device for playing games. And like it was like Nickelodeon GAC, but instead of
right.
Instead of a studio, they're on a beach.
Yeah.
But it is so. I also did not appreciate that by being such a long-running institution, it is to like everybody on that show. They are like devout Catholics, and that show is church.
It's great. Like there's so many things that I am appreciating about it. One, the fact that there's like decades of metagame, like sort of knowledge,
and they all know it,
that everyone knows, and then like that because this is season 37 that I was watching, and they're talking with such fluency about when the merge happens and when this and that, and I'm like, what are they fucking talking about? I've never seen a season of Survivor before. What do they mean? I don't get it. And then everybody kind of knows what's up, and at the end of the fucking in the reunion, they're like, here's how much weight everybody lost, and I was like, what? they were like, they were like, this person lost. They were there for 39 days, and people are lost like 30 pounds because all they're eating is like a little bit of rice that they can like scrounge together. Yeah, and it'll be like
by the chicken they lost.
It's like Davey found a squid in the water, and everybody's like, yeah, squid. And then they're just like chopping up the squid, and they're like eating a little dab and they're like, it's calamari. And I'm like, no, it's fucking not. You guys didn't cook this at all. You're eating it.
These berries are poisonous but won't kill you till after the show.
Yeah. And
I found berries with minimal diarrhea.
And everyone's like, yes.
For an obstacle course.
It is truly wild. And a new season just started, so I'm gonna be watching that.
But there is a season, my friend. You'll have to ask Nate and Rochelle because they're the ones that showed it to me.
Well, yes.
Starring foundational competitive Smash Melee player Ken.
And
it is
Sephiroth
never brought
Ken.
up. It is literally just like he's pretty good too. He's
Yeah.
surprisingly agile.
I heard he was good. Yeah.
He's a
I gotta
featherweight.
watch that. I gotta watch that season. I don't know where like Netflix has 2 seasons. It has season 16 and season 37, and I don't know why. I don't know what sort of contract nonsense happened where they're like, you get 2 seasons of this 41 season show.
Why am I forgetting the host name again?
Jeff Probst.
Jeff Probst. What I love, speaking of it being an institution, is he's established like the clout and control of Tom Cruise. Where like Tom Cruise is allowed to, strap his face to a bear and fire it out of a cannon for the next Mission Impossible because they can't stop him.
Yeah.
It's like we watched a pretty early season, like season 8 or 9. They just showed me a couple episodes. And the most outlandish thing he's doing is like standing in the water. Like his feet are in the water and he's just like, the number one thing you've got to know about water is that it's wet. Or whatever. And then it cuts to him in season, 30 onwards, and he's hanging upside down out of a plane and just being like he's holding onto the side of a helicopter for real. And like, our survivors don't know what's coming next. It's time for the twist. And I'm like, this is your meal ticket, and he's going to die in the ocean.
So first of all, Jeff Probst is everything Chris Harrison from The Bachelor wishes he was.
Yeah.
And also, I was just thinking, this man must love his job. He is so into it. Like, and what he does is like, I don't even see it behind the scenes, but like even the play-by-play that he'll give of a challenge as it's going, he's like, the Kava team this is a huge blow to their team and they're in dead last. Can they possibly get immunity tonight? We don't know. Over here on the green team, Kelly's she's struggling. Is it this gonna? Oh my God! The lead has been squandered by Kelly and the green team. It looks like the orange
show more
team,
than any viewer, and they love it. He's just like transcending.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like the lifestyle that you would have to live. Like I got jaded in the tech industry after 5 years. He's been at it for 20 years, hanging from helicopters and shit. I'm like, I wouldn't enjoy that. I wouldn't enjoy his job. But I'm like, it is
He's like one of those guys that goes to prison and then can't live on the outside.
Yeah.
He just keeps getting rebooked for 6 months.
Yeah, it's unreal. Yeah, I'm kind of in awe of the whole institution coming into it so fucking late.
That was the big surprising part is how, big surprise, but how long Kitchen Nightmares has been going for like 15 years.
Yeah,
I don't know anybody that has the lexicon of Kitchen Nightmares. Is to be like, oh my, well, also the Kitchen Nightmares just has like a 3-act structure, it has the all is lost moment, and then Gordon comes outside and he does his weird, when his lines are scripted, you can always tell, because he walks out the door in the middle of the dinner service, and it's just like, instead of being kind of stoic and strong and charismatic, he's doing all these fucking affectations, and he's like moving, he's clapping his hand, he's like, I can't believe that Stephen was late to the dinner service. Another crazy night at Tagliatello's. At Spaghetti Steve's.
Tagliatello's is a great fake name for a time.
Yeah, it's like an Indian restaurant.
Oh my God. Welcome to Tagliatello's.
I can recommend the chicken korma.
I recommend the fettuccine carbonara, or you get it with the tagliatelle.
Hey, come back. I'm trying to leave.
Don't leave.
Hey, the door's locked.
All right, let's jump into pen pals because I needed to give a little quick Survivor aside, but yes.
You want to read this one?
I'd love to. So this one comes from Anya on Instagram. Traditionally, send it to sadboyspod@gmail.com for pen pals, but Anya was like, my email isn't working, and I decided to make an exception. She says, so I love Sad Boys, and I've been listening for about 2 to 3 years. So my best friend and me had been friends for 10 years, always same school, same general friends, etc. Over the past year, we had become less active, but we remained our connection. But at the start of September, she started to not talk to me, and I thought it was for reasons not involving me. But when I asked her to talk, she told me she didn't like our friendship and that she felt stressed. We had never gotten into a real fight and had always communicated. She told me she wanted to stop being best friends, and also friends in general. Aw.
Yeah.
And she needed space from me. We had the same friends, and I thought I had done something, but she told them the same. Oh. So I'd been trying to deal with it, but I don't know how to give her space while not dropping her. We were so close, and she's a stranger now, and I don't know how to deal with it in a good way and move forward, since I put all my eggs in one basket, and now she's gone. Oh, that's so sad. I'm so sorry. I mean, thank you for reaching out, Anya. That is a really hard situation to be in.
Yeah, sorry you had to experience that.
But in terms of what do you do, I do think it's a simple answer.
It is depressingly simple, yeah.
It is depressingly simple. You just don't reach out. I feel like if she needs space, then she's gonna. The onus is a little bit on her. The ball is in her court because she is the only one who's gonna know when she's had what she needs. I feel like it's okay to check in from time to time in a non-committal way, like a, hey, hope you're doing well. But I wouldn't even start there. I would start with just like no communication, because it seems like that's what she wants. And this doesn't sound like a personal thing. This sounds like very much on your friend's behalf, because they're distancing themselves from the whole friend group. So, I think it's in our instincts to want to solve the problem or to fix something that's wrong. But sometimes you just got to take someone at their word. And I feel like this might be one of those situations.
And it's in our instinct to, investigate the things we can investigate. And right now that's only you, right? So you're going to have to, in your head, go over and over what you have done wrong, or like search for what you've done wrong, because you can't know what the source of them doing it is.
Right.
And that's dangerous, because it really doesn't sound like you did anything wrong.
And if you're asking them what you did, if you did anything wrong, and they say no, again, you just got to take them at your word. You're not doing anything wrong. It's also indicative of that by them distancing themselves from other people around you. It seems like they just need a clean break for whatever reason. And sometimes that happens, and it can happen in graceful ways, like you naturally drift apart, and it can happen in very abrupt ways where someone just goes, I actually need to leave the friend group, which is a little theatrical, but is also, sometimes it's what people need.
Yeah, and it's theatrical, and there are certainly exceptions. I don't want to blanket anything, but I would say it generally is a pretty inappropriate way to do it and pretty inconsiderate.
Yeah.
So like not really behavior I'd want to reward with being the carer, with then following up with like, hey, still thinking about you, still trying to support it.
Yeah.
You did kind of a hurtful thing, but it should be
normalized. It's okay to not be friends with someone. It's okay to want to distance yourself.
And everyone, for whatever we have to do to rationalize this, human beings need to be able to ask for something and receive it.
Yeah,
like not
and
something
not be
that compromises on
the way that they.
If it's not necessarily a one-to-one, because there are bigger connotations to this, but we can apply some of the rules of a romantic relationship, where if it is a kindness to communicate to somebody as to why you don't want to continue a relationship, but there are situations where that's not easy to articulate. There are the situations where you may not feel safe, which I don't think is this, but you may not feel safe to articulate why or what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
And a relationship of any kind is a mutual exchange. And if it's not, then it's like, it's a parasite exchange. Like if somebody does not want you involved with them for a rational, irrational, whatever reason, you need to be able to respect that, because it's just damaging. You pursuing is not going to repair something, is not going to repair that damage. You going by exactly what they're saying and showing, not that you owe them anything, but if repairing this relationship, if that's possible, is a priority, then you showing them that respect, that unconditional, okay, I will step away, then maybe they get the chance to resolve whatever's getting in the way. But, as Jarvis said, it's very clearly not something that, unless you and every single one of your friends independently fuck something up all at the same time, probably not.
I will also say that, like, if you need support in this, I think it's okay to bring it up with your other friends who are experiencing the same thing, because could also be hard on them to like feel like they're losing a friend. And maybe there's space for that to bring you closer.
I don't necessarily think this is the case, but just to ensure, in case we are misreading, if you meant that she told me that she wanted to stop being best friends, and also we had the same friends, and I thought I had done something, but she told them the same. Yeah, no, that is right. I was just double checking. She wasn't saying like she also told the friend group that she didn't want to be friends with Anya anymore.
I see. But
no, that doesn't seem to be the case. And also, the last thing I'll call out is putting all my eggs in one basket. I don't think you do. I would apply the relationship rhetoric again and say that the value of a relationship is not in its like length or if I don't get married, then dating was pointless. You know, that kind of rhetoric. It's a good learning experience. It was valuable for what it is. Maybe it will come back, but even if it doesn't, you can make friends. You can develop friendships. 10 years is very valuable. It didn't need to be 11 to matter.
Yeah, and I think also, and I don't think that this is necessarily the situation, but because the eggs in the basket analogy was used, I will say that if you are viewing like your friendships through that lens, that can put a lot of pressure on that friend. Any given friend, if you're like, you're my best friend, you're my sort of what's the word?
Partner, confidant.
You're my support system.
Yes. That's better.
Yeah, if you're like, you're my support system, that is an unfair. I'm not saying that this is what you're doing, but this is more general advice. If other people find themselves in this situation, it can be a really unfair position to put a person in, especially because it's not like consensual usually when that happens. And you know, it's hard enough to keep like take care of ourselves than to like be responsible for someone else. So I think that be wary of unintended pressures that you may be putting on interpersonal relationships. I would say with regard to romantic or otherwise, actually.
Yeah, I've had the issues in past romantic relationships where that was the problem for me, in that I felt like I was responsible, and especially at the time of those relationships, and it is plural. It was a common thing, especially in early dating, because I didn't feel like it was appropriate. I do want to be able to support someone, but being a part of a support network and being relied upon are two different things.
Yes,
because especially at the time of the relationships I'm referencing, I was not well. Like, I was just my mental health was fucking atrocious, and it would be like having a baby. It would be like a human being is responsible for me at my worst. I don't want to burden, or I don't want to put them at risk by thinking that they can rely on me to that level. And I think in the case of those relationships, I did not do a good job of articulating that was the problem, because it also feels kind of patronizing, and I don't know, it was like difficult to, I just didn't feel confident saying it.
Right.
Which, if this is the source of it, is kind of sounds like what this person's doing as well. Because if you don't want to communicate that, and maybe something's happened to them where they're worried about being a negative influence on these people's lives, or they don't want to ask these people for help because they feel like they're irradiated and they don't want to go near their friends for fear of hurting them.
Right.
Is kind of the poor communication that you'd expect. Because you don't want to say what it is, because you don't want to have a conversation about it. Yeah,
and I just don't want Anya to feel like this is what she's done wrong. But I don't want Anya to feel like this is something that she's done wrong, because nothing has been communicated to her. So one thing and this is just something that my therapist has told me, so you're hearing it secondhand, is to not try to read mind reading. Mind reading is like a well-known pitfall that we can find ourselves in when reading social situations. And you can pretend you can be in someone's thoughts and assume what they must be feeling, and you never can. You never can. So if someone doesn't expressly tell you something, then you shouldn't go off the assumption that you know exactly what's going on in their mind, because it will only lead you to bad places.
Especially if it doesn't make sense. Initially. Yeah. If intuitively you don't get it right away, that just means that there's pieces you don't have access to.
But even if it does make sense, you don't know obviously in life, you sometimes have to go off of imperfect information. But even if something does make perfect sense, you have to recognize that ultimately you don't know what's going on in someone's life. You don't know what's going on in someone's head. And to pretend that you do is doing them a disservice as well. It's denying them the agency and the independence of like taking the control of their own like narrative.
Yeah. And no, I mean, also emphasis on, we're saying this because we don't believe you have done from what you've told us. And again, we don't want to mind read, right? It doesn't seem like you have done anything wrong. It seems like there's just something happening that you don't have the information to fully comprehend. The same thing's happening to other people close to you. And you should value that you still have access to those friends and you have somebody to relate to and communicate with about it.
Yeah.
You have a network to brainstorm with.
Right. All right. I think that's a good place to wrap it.
I'm done with this.
I'm done with this and I'm done with that. We end every episode of Sad Boys with a particular phrase.
We love you.
And we're sorry.
Boom.
Boom.
Boom. Boom.
Gucci girl, how you doing? How you moving, girl? Moving, girl. How's your day looking? That future girl, yeah, we on now. Take my money, go away, all you want it. Girl, too rich for me.